Hello, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, and every creature out there listening, watching, and hanging out with us. This is the Wrestling Diaries. I'm Mitchell Roulane, your host, and this is the podcast show for the average Joe or Jane or Jack or Kitty Cat or whatever. Please follow us and like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Overcast, Cast. All these plethoras of podcasts. At some point, I'm going to start a Patreon account. So if anybody wants to support to keep this going, give us a nicer studio, some cool mics or something, that would be great. And at some point, too, we're going to look into doing some merchandise. So keep us, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Just keep out on the lookout for stuff like that, right? Also, we do the spoken word sessions once a week where I get on here and I tell stories, or I read literature. Last week I did some poems. Next week's episode, we've actually got my editor, Matt, who's going to recite one of his favorite pieces, a poem from where's the guy from? Seattle. What's his name? Stephen Jessy Bernstein's from Seattle. Great poet, one of Matt's favorites, and you'll get to see Matt spout off some of that awesome poetry. But yeah, today I have one of my really, really good friends that I've been friends with for a couple years now, I think.
It's been like 3 or 4.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Pink.
This is not my name.
Just like a pill. Instead of making me
I do have pink hair like Benadryl right now.
keep making me ill. Hey, Jessy. Jessy Jones, actually. How about that? That's her name.
Full name Jessica Jones, but I'm not that angry.
So Jessica Jones, that's like the superhero character from Jessica Jones. And then there's Jessy Jones. Isn't that the famous, like, what is it, like train thief or something?
No, that's Jesse James.
Jesse James. I'm an idiot. Don't listen to me anymore. Anyways, what's up, Jessy?
Nothing much. How are you?
Thanks for being on the Wrestling Diaries.
I'm excited.
Are you?
Yes.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
This is a formal interview. I'll tell you a little bit about myself.
Forewarning for everybody. So she's a really good friend of mine, so this is probably going to be a silly podcast. So if you're looking for something with structure, go listen to something else.
Yeah, leave. Get out of here.
Anyways, go ahead. Tell us about it.
Well, I guess a little bit about myself. I don't know. I guess when we first met, I was in a small group with a bunch of other people. We called it Taco Night, and I really enjoyed being there. And I've still been in that group, and I know that you've left since then, but...
Yeah, I'm too cool.
No. No. But, no, I'm trying to think about anything else that, like, we had in common that was interesting at first. I guess our conversations have always been really, really deep.
Yeah.
But still goofy.
Good. Yeah, I know. That's why I wanted you on the show.
Yeah. Well,
like, it would be some good content.
Yeah. When we first started hanging out, I know we were doing a lot of like hikes and stuff like that. That was kind of fun. Mm-hmm. I remember that. I remember showing up to some random place and it was closed. And so we just kind of like walked up to the edge of it and we're like, well, this is not cool. And then we left. But
yeah, weren't we like, we're supposed to do some cave tour or something?
Yeah, it was supposed to be like a cave tour of Rickwood Caverns, but no one was there. And everything for Christmas was all shut down. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. That made me think of Batman a lot. When I was there, I was like, ooh, Batman.
Because it was all shut down? Is that why?
No, because it was a cave.
Oh. Well, okay. But I remember that. I'm trying to remember. Oh, we also found like a lot of music that we liked. We had in common. A lot of punk stuff. Pop punk, punk rock, post-core. You introduced me to post-core because when I was little, I would listen to stuff like that and I was like, ew, no, there's so much screaming and angst. And I don't like it. And then I started understanding like, oh, emotions, those are a thing.
In case anybody's wondering what post-core is. So basically it's hardcore music done at the post office. So anyways, continue.
It is not. Oh my gosh. But
Matt's like grinning over there. Like, this guy's such an idiot.
Of course. This is why we're here. But no, I guess you introduced me to starts with E.
Emarosa.
With E. Yes, Emarosa. I really liked them, and then they came out with like
post-core.
I mean, whatever he started with was not the vibe that he has now, and
oh yeah, definitely not.
They've changed to like more 80s like synth pop too, but it's still like a little emotional.
The band started with a different lead singer. It was what's his name, Johnny Craig, and now it's I don't know who the dude is now.
Johnny Craig
this guy
infiltrated so many other bands.
Yeah, he's what is it? He's I forget what the name of his band is now.
It's something
Soul for Slaves or something weird like that. And it's kind of more the same.
I think it's called Slaves.
Slaves, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the singer, you can't even really call him a new singer because he's been the lead singer for Omarosa for a handful of years now. But yeah,
since
they
like
do like that kind of
2011.
80s pop thing.
Yeah.
I like it.
I've enjoyed it for sure.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Trying to think about what else we kind of started out with.
It's weird, right? So like when you're like pressured, not pressured, but like when you're on here and you know you're being recorded, like you can't like just before
my mind
this,
is just like no.
Yeah, like what do I say? What do I do? And then that's what's weird about these podcasts too. It's like I mean I deal with it like every time I'm on here because like I'm like I feel like I was having some really good conversation prior, and then now it's like I don't know what I'm gonna say. What am I gonna do?
I can roll it. No, I can roll it back around to what we started with before. Well, Matt was recording this, but like when we were talking about addictive personalities, like I realized that I've got that, and so I've been.
What are you addicted to?
At first, I was addicted to pornography. I'll open up and say that right out. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Moly.
I stumbled across it when I think I was like 11 or 12, and so I didn't even fully understand. Like, well, what is this for? Because I hadn't even hit puberty yet, and then like a couple years later, I was like, oh, okay, and then I just like couldn't look away. I couldn't look away for years and years and years. And this is one of those things that I struggled with, like after we stopped talking for a little while, because I know we stopped talking for like, I don't know, it was like 8 or 9 months for some reason. We just drifted and we got busy and things happened. And so like during that time, I was trying to like rebuild my life essentially. And it was really tricky because I couldn't figure out how to get out of that addiction. It spills over into other things. Sometimes I'll like shop for things and buy stuff that I don't need. And I think that's probably partially an addiction too, but
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but the biggest thing that's helped me is being in a 12-step program, and it's been really healing. I didn't realize that it was going to help me as much as it did. I thought, oh, this is all like hocus pocus. There's so many different rules and all these different things, and it's really formal and weird and stiff, but it's really helped me.
Are you still doing that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'll be in it till the day I die because it's like it's a good community of people who understand each other. We understand like why we do what we do, and we understand like what things trigger us and stuff like that. But AKA cult.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, it does feel a lot like a cult.
It's really good though. It's good to get to in some programs like that and have a community of people that are even probably struggling with the same things that you are, because it's, I don't know, it's like you the struggles don't feel as heavy, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody is like carrying the burden with you.
Yeah,
right. Because they're dealing with the same thing. And I know what that's like. I feel like I've had a really good support system with like all my core group of friends, like Matt included, and some of our other friends growing up. We're just always there for each other. So anytime anybody was dealing with issues, man, it was just, we just swept it under the rug pretty easily. Or not, I don't want to say under the rug because that's like you're not dealing with it, but we dealt with it pretty easily because we just had all these friends, and you had like somebody else like, yeah, I'm going through the same thing, man.
That in common.
It's no big deal, bro. Like all I did was this, and you're like, oh, I never would have thought of that, and I never would have had I not been friends or in this small little knit of people, this little community that we built. So
that's why community is important. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
It gives you more perspective.
On the pornography thing, pornography is like something I know a lot of people are actually addicted to, especially a lot of guys. And it's just something I never really, I mean, I've looked at it, I've watched it and all this other stuff. And I got introduced to it at a very early age because I was such a bad little boy sneaking around, going through my brother's things.
It's hard to avoid.
Shout out, Michael. It's like going under your bed and looking at your little porno mags and all that stuff. And it was so funny. Like the first time I'd seen like a naughty magazine, I was like, oh my God, I feel different.
No, but it really, I mean, that's that loss of innocence. The first time you see something like that, it's that loss of innocence.
It really was. But here's the thing though, even when I saw it at like a really early age, and I don't remember the actual timeline, maybe I was 10, maybe 9, I didn't really know what I was looking at. I mean, I knew it was naked people, but I didn't get it. You know what I mean?
That's the same thing with me. I didn't get it.
The concept of sex and any of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, it's just, I don't know, I guess, I guess I feel blessed that pornography is not something I ever really got into and like just become obsessed with it. Just, I don't know, I guess.
It's good that you don't struggle with that. Yeah. I set up a whole bunch of different safeguards. So like when I first started the recovery group, I started it because I had an issue with porn, and then later on I realized this was spilling over into issues with relationships and like the way that I love people, and like I finally understood like, oh, this is why I'm so needy because I grew up not fully understanding like my sexuality, and I didn't understand how to relate to members of the opposite sex. I had no idea. Like I was like, well, if I'm texting a boy and he's texting me back, that means he loves me, right? And so I was just like overshooting everything. Exactly. So I was functioning like expecting them to fully commit to like a deeper relationship with me before I ever fully knew them and before they ever fully knew me. And so I didn't understand like, well, why are they stopping? Like, why will they ghost me so many times? Why are they ghosting me? And then I finally understood, oh, I'm jumping way too deep into this way too quickly. And so I'm essentially like scaring them off. Like I'm wanting them to give me everything and tell me everything. And I'm oversharing and giving them everything. But I don't understand that you share bits and pieces of yourself over time. And that's how you develop a relationship. You can't just like word vomit on people and then expect them to be like, oh yeah, absolutely, we'll stay friends.
Yeah. I think that on the pornography talk too, that just pornography in itself is pretty toxic.
It really warps your view of normal relationships.
Right,
because it's not real. It's fantasy.
And that's outside of the realm of like, you know, whatever faith you subscribe to based on that, the moral compass of that. But just from a general like psychological standpoint, it gives you a facade of relationships and sex that's just not real. It's not real.
It's so horribly scripted.
Yeah, it's funny because I've actually met people, I'm not giving any names or anything, but that, you know, watch a lot of porn and they try to base their romantic relationships off the things, and I was just like, what a freaking idiot. No wonder you're lonely, you like people are running away from you, they're breaking up with you, they're like slapping you, like no wonder.
But it really warps your perspective of like what a normal relationship should be like. And so when I was introduced to that at like a super young age, I kind of grew up thinking, oh, okay, so like all you have to do is just be like sexually interested in someone, and then all of a sudden you'll have like a great relationship and everything will be great. And I didn't understand fully that like you don't have that like carnal relationship before you fully understand someone. Otherwise, that's not fulfilling. It's just going back and forth and just like figuring things out physically, and then like, oh well, that body type doesn't work with me.
Yeah.
Instead of actually wanting to understand the person underneath. And that's why I needed to get away from that addiction, because it's promoting human trafficking. Pornography does that all the time, every day, billions and trillions of dollars. And so I just don't want to be anywhere near it. But also, like, it just completely warped any normal view of relationships for me for a long time. And so I'm like healing from that now using that recovery program. It's really helping.
Would you still be friends with me if I was a porn star?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sweet. Matt was telling me I should be, what was it, that one time you're telling me I should be?
Yeah, if you're whoring yourself around, you might as well be making money for it.
Oh my gosh.
I was not whoring myself, Matt.
I don't know. Some of your stories are kind of...
it doesn't matter to me.
I was trying to express free love, bruh.
Oh my
Come
gosh.
on.
It's not the 60s anymore.
Much, you should be making
money
for it.
It wasn't that much. Look, I'm not talking about my sex life with Matt here. Back to you, Jessy.
You still pretty much talk about your sex life a lot, though.
I know, it's so weird. I guess it's this weird subconscious like pride I have or something. Like I
don't know if it's pride as much as it's just like you've got all these good stories from it.
That's probably my friend Emma from I guess she's not from Saudi Arabia, but she's living in Saudi Arabia. Anyways, she said that I'm a very good storyteller. So she says that a lot of stuff is just me liking to tell stories, but the content of what it is might not necessarily be something I'm totally interested in. So if I am talking about this stuff, maybe it's just for the sake of storytelling itself, because it's funny and it's weird and it's me being a goofball. But yeah, I used to be a lady killer. Somebody's watching is like, what? Ew. You? Not you. Yucky.
Oh my gosh.
So, do you ever like, I don't know if, feel free to not answer this or whatever, but do you still get the urge sometimes, the itch? Like,
I mean, yeah, it comes back occasionally.
Look at this.
No, but like it really all comes down to
Was it all like video internet stuff, or was it like magazine stuff?
it was video internet. I didn't have access to the magazine type stuff, but
yeah, see, people in nowadays culture is like, it's so easy. Like a kid, just the click of a button.
Absolutely.
Whereas before, like, back in the 90s, 80s, and before that, like, kids had to sneak around to get little dirty mags.
hide things under the mattresses and
from
stuff.
their dad or their older brother or their cousins or aunt or whatever. And so now it's just at the click of a button. Boom. It's like that porn that Matt's really into. Hentai, what's that called? Is that right? I'm kidding. Matt's not into
You're a
anime
terrible
porn.
person.
I know, I'm terrible.
Well,
Anyways, how are you doing?
how am I doing? You asked that at the beginning of the show, and I didn't know how to answer.
Oh man.
No. Good,
If some of my professional friends listen to this, I'm like, man, this Mitchell guy, like, what is this guy? Who is this guy?
Goofball.
He's insane.
Goofball.
Anyways,
Going back to
so how do you?
No, really, going back to the urges. I was going to say something really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because
Sorry.
it makes
I'm
perfect
sorry.
sense in my head now, but it didn't at the time. So at first, when I was like, oh man, I really want to watch some porn, I realized it was like because of an unmet need. So like, had I fed myself? Have I calmed myself down with like a cup of tea? Have I talked to someone about why I'm stressed out today?
Wait, so when you mean feed yourself, you mean like legitimately eat
Literally
food?
feed myself.
Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
Yeah. And I can't remember. They have a set of like unmet needs that you need to double check on before you like act out on any of those like sexual urges. And if you really sit down and think about it, you're like, usually if you're using porn or something like that, it's to cope with anger or cope with stress or cope with worry, because it gets you to a different place. It gives you that high, kind of like drugs. It gives you a high that takes you away from where you're at. And so I had to learn to sit with the emotion and feel that emotion and be okay with being uncomfortable. Like, I'm angry right now. Okay, why am I angry? This happened today and it made me resentful. Okay, well, I need to sit here and be angry and then move on instead of act out to try to get rid of that emotion. I needed to be okay with the negative emotion I was feeling. So a lot of what I've learned lately, especially with like coping with any sort of weird like urge to act out on anything, is like, okay, I need to sit down and think about why am I uncomfortable? What's going on? What am I feeling right now that I don't want to be feeling? And how can I take care of myself in a way that will get me away from it, but won't like completely like ruin my life again? So I've actually been free from porn for about, I think it's 500 days last week. So
Oh wow.
yeah, I've been working really, really, really hard to get away from that. And it's helped, like within the first 90 days, like the habit was broken. And so I started coping in different ways. So if I was stressed out, I went for a hike instead. Or if I was angry, I would write in my journal and like explain kind of what was going on and process that verbally, either with a friend or in a journal or something like that. And it really, really helped me to process that emotion and also understand that it is okay to be feeling that emotion at the time. Instead of trying to escape it, I had to learn to just sit and be in that emotion. So, yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's really great too. And I love how you're very open about something like that. Because I mean, obviously, this is like a very personal, touchy subject, even, right? Like, how many people, especially girls, are going to admit that they have like or had a porn addiction, and you're just very open about it. And that's what I love about you. Like, you're just wearing it on your sleeve. You're like, this is who I am. This is what I do. Like, I don't have to run away and hide and wear all these masks and stuff. And that's really good. I feel like that's a strength that you have, like, legitimately, is that you're just very upfront and honest about those things. That's really good. That one step into having better control over your life,
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's really good. Also, like what you're saying too is like, I feel like a lot of things that people get into that are not industrious or not good or not positive for their lives is because there's too much void, there's too much empty space in their life, and they need to fill it with something productive, something creative, right? Idle hands are the devil's workshop. And so like and I know this from personal experience, like the times that I've just sat back and just not like kept myself busy and did something and worked on something and networked myself. And I don't mean that from a business standpoint, but I just mean in general, like going out, meeting people, getting in new adventures and experiences. I found that when I do that, like I don't self-deprecate, or I don't get into like weird, stupid things or crazy
You don't get stuck in
unproductiveness,
your head.
like being lazy or screwing up people's perceptions of me or relationships or any of that stuff. I'm keeping myself busy, and I feel like that's very important for people to do, and it also helps you give value back to the world and to yourself.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, because a lot of people that I've known that have been addicted to porn specifically are people that are, not all of them, but a lot of them are lazy and they just sit at home. And so that's what you do. You're like, oh, I'm so bored. Like, I've played on my phone. Like, what can I do? Oh, porn. Let's do this and, masturbate or whatever.
Yeah, but like that's what happens.
Not that
Like
that's
if
funny,
you just
but,
let that boredom lead to something, something like that, it ends up ruining your life. You don't even realize it. And that's what happened with me. I was like, I had to hit rock bottom before I realized that that's not where I wanted to be. And so I was like, man, this is just, it's like taking up all my time. And every time I'm stressed, I'm like running to that instead of trying to understand it in a way that's, I don't know. I just was processing things by acting out instead of sitting down and trying to understand what was going on in my head. And I think that I should probably go to therapy, but it's one of those things. It's like, it's expensive and I don't do that. I could, but I don't. And honestly, the 12-step program has really helped me more than anything because it's structured and it has accountability. I actually have a sponsor that I check in with every single night, and I have a list of questions that she asks me that I answer. And it's even down to like, I'm actually talking to a bunch of different people and trying to get back into the dating scene. And so she actually said, what if we go ahead and like, you answer questions about like, what have you been talking about over text or over the phone with these people? I'm even that specific about about what I've been talking about, so that if it starts turning towards something inappropriate, like any conversations that just go awry, those can usually lead to more problems in another relationship. I guess if like, I could give an example, like if I'm texting someone and they're like, oh, well, you're just like really hot. I'm just like, oh, thanks. I love that so much. And then it just continues down that road. It gets worse and worse and worse. There's not really any way to not let that snowball unless you just stop it right there. And so when I talk to my sponsor about who I've texted and talked to throughout the day, if I'm upfront and honest with her about those types of conversations, she can help me pinpoint any place where it could go wrong and could spiral back into more problems for me. So
that's really good. Another thing too about like just addictions in general, like I've found that, and I think there's actual scientific study on this. Sometimes it's not even like some people get addicted to something specific. Like you would be porn, or somebody else would be drugs, somebody else would be being lazy. I don't like whatever it is. Sometimes it's just you're addicted to just being addicted. You just have an addictive personality.
Yeah, and it spills over.
Yeah, that's why people that they do. This is one of the big ones. Like people that are on like drugs really bad, and they go through rehab, all that stuff, and they kick the habits, but then they get like really overweight because then they start eating a lot, so they become addicted to eating, or they stop doing drugs when they start smoking cigarettes, and they just start smoking like crazy, and or like whatever. And so sometimes when you I guess got out of like the porn thing, did you feel yourself kind of trying to slip into something else to be addicted to? Do you think it was like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
What was it?
It was shopping.
Oh yeah.
So
my ex-girlfriend called that retail therapy though.
Oh no. It's definitely
Is that not real therapy?
Beware the retail therapy.
Was she wrong?
She
wasn't wrong.
If you budget for it, absolutely you can have retail
shopping.
therapy. But no, I could tell, and it can still be a problem. Sometimes I'll spend money that I don't have for something that I don't need, and I realized that when I cut off all the other like addictions that I was having problems with, it was like, well, the shopping one's manageable because when I run out of money, I run out of money. It's still, it's still an addiction.
I feel like there's levels though too, right? Like shopping addiction is terrible and it's still an addiction, but it's not as destructive, I feel like, as like a porn addiction or like a drug addiction, right?
Yeah, and it's manageable too because if
you
I
won't
go
have any
out,
money.
well, exactly.
Just a bunch of crap you can't use.
Well, I buy shoes.
I'm a total shoe whore. No offense to any real whores out there, but I love shoes. I'm just like love shoes. just, yeah. So, I mean, that's, one of my things. I like things. Yeah. But luckily, I'm also, I procrastinate like going to do shopping and all that stuff. So that my procrastination for getting out to go shopping
cancels out
my like, obsession with just like buying stuff.
That makes sense. I'm kind of a homebody, so it does the same for me. But online shopping kind of ruined that for me.
Oh, I know. Online shopping's terrible. It's just I bought that Cookie Monster shirt with the click of a button on eBay. Boom. Hello, it's from England because we're not cool enough to have a shirt that looks that good. Bink. Bought it.
Honestly, most of the cool shirts I found have not been from America. They're all made in Taiwan.
Of course.
They're sold in America.
Yeah, right.
Oh
Where's
my
that
gosh.
that Nirvana shirt? Where's that from, you think?
I have no idea,
Where'd
but
you get it?
probably Taiwan. I got it from Target because I live at Target. It's my second home.
Nirvana.
Yes.
Yeah, shopping.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite pastimes.
I was gonna also say, I just thought about this too. One of the ways that I coped with my addiction was by just switching over to just like listening to music. And so
That's a
Yeah.
good one. If you're addicted to music, that's a good thing. 'Cause,
I've
like,
always
it
been.
stimulates your brain. It opens
So
up
much
that
serotonin in a
creativity.
new song that sounds good.
Yeah.
There have been so many moments when I've found healing by just putting in a pair of headphones and just blasting a new song that I found super, super loud and just laying there and enjoying all of the different sounds and all the different layers and like the voice of the singer, especially if I find a new band and they have a whole entire album of just slamming hits. I love that. I love that feeling. That replaces the high sometimes of any sort of addiction that I had in the past. If I can sit there and listen to new music and just like drink it in, it's almost as good as just taking a bite out of like the most perfect crispy BLT.
Nice.
It's like, oh my gosh, all of this is so good. It's just like music is tasty to me for some reason.
It's good, and it's to be addicted to it too. It's productive though, because if you listen to a really good song, something that gets the blood pumping, it makes you want to get up and you want to go do something, or you want to exercise, or you want to dance, or you like whatever, or like opens your brain. You want to start drawing a picture, or you want to write a poem. Like, yeah, out of all the wonderful pieces of art that man has created, music is by far one of the, if not the number one best art form of all of them.
100%.
It's just something about it, man. It's just like these things, these notes put together in melody, and you got the lyrics and just the way it touches you specifically. It's just,
I mean, think about this too.
music
Like
is oh man, I love it.
anybody
so much.
who's like painting, they're sitting there painting in a studio, they use music as their background to concentrate or to enhance. And so, you're in an art gallery and you're looking around at all these gorgeous paintings. There's music playing in the background. Or if you're eating like really, really good food that a chef just cooked up and it's just like perfection, music playing in the background. There's always like, it heightens your senses, and that's why I really enjoy it. And all different genres too, except country. I can't stand country.
Here we go with another anti-country person. I've had like 3 people in a row now just completely over country.
The old stuff like Garth Brooks and like Randy Travis, I'll listen to stuff like that. The new country, I don't really like
What
it as much.
yeah, like new country as a whole just is garbage. But like, what about like some of the like outlier artists like Chris Stapleton, Tennessee Whiskey?
Yes, I
and
will
then
listen to that
Sturgill
for sure.
Simpson.
Yeah, Sturgill
He's
Simpson.
really good. He doesn't even, what is it? Chris Stapleton dresses a part. He's just legit, just outlaw cowboy. Wears the hat, he's got the long hair, the beard. He wears the spurs on his boots. And then Chris Stapleton just looks like a normal dude, and he just does like Western sounding music.
Now that kind of stuff that I will listen to that because there's skill involved. But a lot of the new like country pop music, I don't prefer it. It just doesn't sound
country.
good.
It's not real Western music. It's just like,
If it has a little twang in
it's
it, and
garbage
got a
with a
beat.
Southern accent.
Exactly.
It's like if NSYNC and all them, like, were super twangy. That's what it reminds me of.
I feel like that's just shaming NSYNC's name.
Yeah, no offense, NSYNC. Justin.
Because they're all
Justin
still
T.
together and they're listening to your podcast.
Yeah, they're listening right now.
Totally.
Justin T is going to send me a hateful email.
No, it's gonna
How
be
dare you,
be
bro.
via Facebook Messenger.
Right.
Because
How dare you take that episode down? No, but you can come on the show and talk about it, JT.
Could you imagine if you got
Go
him on the
ahead,
show?
dude.
What would you talk about if you were on the show with JT?
Oh, man. Well, I'd ask him, I'd be like, hey, do you think you could beat me in a fight? It would be the first thing I'd ask. And then secondly,
I
I'd be like,
wonder what he
dude,
would say.
Cry Me a River. I felt that, bro. I felt that song. That was my jams.
Oh my gosh.
I like Justin Timberlake. On a serious note, I like him. He's got this. When he broke away from NSYNC, I was like, all right, he's got this nice little R&B vibe. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Little white boy with some soul. It's good. Seriously, I mean, white boy with some soul. That's something special.
I like being impressed by music artists that branch off into something that's even better for their voice. They'll start out with a band that's like, oh, you're in a boy band. That's great. And then like they'll just go full Harry Styles on you and just find their own genre. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm floored by how much talent there is out there that was stuck in a boy band for so long.
Talking about like country music. So then like what's his name from the lead singer of Stained? Yeah, it's Aaron Lewis. I'm 100% positive. I would bet Jesse's life on it right now.
Please don't bet my life.
Yes. Boom. And then so he does country music. He does like folk / Western style music.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And then Darius Rucker. Do you know who that is?
That sounds so familiar.
Lead singer of Hootie and the Blowfish.
Oh.
So now
That's a great impression.
he does country music, and it's pretty legit. It was a very easy transition, I think, for his vocals. Yeah, I think it stands out more though if like what you were saying, like somebody from a pop band or something does like something folksy or something like outside of the range of music they were doing before. Yeah, good old music, man. Has like the power to just do everything for you.
It really
Anything
does.
like it helps you cook, it helps you like relax, it helps you get hype. A lot of like
Helps me clean.
Yeah.
Scrubbing toilets, listening
A
to
lot of like martial artists that compete will listen to like headphones. It gets them in that flow state. Like if you hear that really good song with a really good beat and the melody and the chorus kicks in, it just puts you in this mood. And then when you're moving, you just move in this like flow. It's crazy.
That's what happens at work. Like we're allowed to wear headphones at work when I'm back in production. And so I'll pop out like 1,000 books while in my like perfect binder machine while listening to just like the perfect list of songs. I have this one list and it's called like A Taste of Everything. And it's musical whiplash, but it's perfect for me because it's all those different songs that I found and I loved and I can like play on repeat for forever and still enjoy it.
You also listen to some really nice ambient, slow rhythm music from love making. I'm just kidding. I don't make love. I breed. That was a little weird.
That was
All
very
right,
weird.
so back to you. Do you actually play any musical instruments or any of that stuff?
No.
Or have you picked it up? I guess is
No.
really the real question because I already knew
No
that you
talent
don't.
here. No, I just sing in the shower. That's it. I used to play piano, but I hated practicing.
Piano.
Yes. It made the most sense to me. Like I've had people try to teach me how to play guitar and my brain just doesn't do it. It just doesn't compute. My fingers are like, what? What's this? Why do I do this? Doesn't make any sense to me.
I dabble in playing guitar, but like it's like I understand it more than I can actually perform it. It's such a weird thing.
That happens with some people when they're trying to like verbalize things. It's easier for them to write it out rather than speak it.
Yeah. I think that's the category that I fall into when it comes to that kind of stuff. So, yeah, good old music, man. It's so awesome.
It's healing. I love it.
It is very healing. What else do you do? Do you were you sad about Chadwick Boseman?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
legit
devastated.
got
I actually
emotional.
cried.
Yeah, I legitimately got emotional.
I
was
texted
like,
a bunch of people and we were all like just weeping that night. It was really
I,
sad.
I literally got emotional. I got choked up, and I was like, I can't believe like because it was out of nowhere too,
Mhm.
right?
I had no
mean,
idea that he
yeah.
was that ill.
And so when I sit there and think about that, like it makes me more. I think what got me more emotional about it is just the fact that like he did all these movies. He did these Avengers movies. He did Black Panther. And nobody knew what he's doing. He was training and doing the movies and acting, and he was doing all the publicity things, you know, all the promotions for the movies and the different things he was doing. He was visiting like Make-A-Wish
Cancer
foundations,
patients, yes.
and he had he never told anybody, and it was because and I just feel like he's a real superhero, right? Because he has this
100%.
like terminal illness that's killing him, and he could have said it, and he could have got more support, and it would have given him more publicity and all this stuff. Like, oh yeah, he's got cancer, but he's like a superhero. But he didn't say anything because he didn't like. He just wanted to do him and just do his life and create his art for as long as he could, and that's so like beautiful
It is
and
really
like
beautiful.
man, just like,
People were making fun of him for being so skinny, and they had no idea he was dying.
yeah, colon cancer is just nothing to play around with. But it's just crazy. And it also shows you that, like, another thing that it made me think about too was that he was in like in his early 40s, but he probably had the health and all that stuff, minus the cancer, of somebody probably in their like late 20s or stuff. He was very athletic. He looked good.
He took care of himself as best he could.
And so, and then, you know, obviously he's wealthy because he's a celebrity and stuff like that. And so for him to just die from something like that, just, I mean, you could just go at any point, no matter who you are, no matter how much pull you got, how much money you have, influence, you know, like it's so sad. But just like the fact that he didn't say anything about it, you know, it just feels like, I mean, I don't know, there might be, but I don't know of any other like celebrity status person who had something like that just kept it like under the rug, like in the closet, you know? They put it out there, or it got out, and he kept it like only he knew, and like I guess his doctor and some of his close family. And he just did this thing. He just grinded. So he's like a real superhero.
100%.
And it makes me sad too, because like I don't know what the future of like Marvel's going to be, because I feel like he kind of like the next like kind of like figurehead. Because before that it's like Iron Man and Captain America, and they're both gone now. And so I was like, you know, Black Panther, like he's probably going to be like one of the like figureheads now, and he's gone. So like, I just don't even, I don't know what they're going to do now about like doing the other movies going forward.
I mean, they probably don't know what they're doing either.
Yeah, because they already had like,
they had a bunch of things lined up for
and
him.
Stuff, and it was all for like the next storyline of what he was going to do and all this stuff. And yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, pretty heartbreaking.
I wonder if they'll replace him with someone else.
God, I hope not.
It would be really heartbreaking if they did.
It would be heartbreaking, and it would just be, it would be hard for me to take my mind out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like knowing that he passed away and that was like his final role. Like that's like what defined him. And I feel like it's the same way with like, they've been trying to remake The Crow for many years. It's the movie that Brandon Lee died in, Bruce's son. And so many people are like against it because like, oh, he died like making this movie. You know, and like I feel like it kind of craps on his legacy and stuff like that. And so they've tried to like do production of it, and like so much crap keeps going wrong, and I almost feel like it's like a curse. It's cursed, a sign, yeah. You know. It's like, oh, I can't remake it because he, you know, his stamp is on there forever.
He's forever haunting the set.
Yeah, he's haunting the set.
He's like, no one can replace me. Sorry.
He's hitting him with a spinning back kick. You're not gonna do this.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't know. It's sad. Just sad stuff. I feel like people can take away from this is just like I was saying, like he died out of nowhere. He's a healthy guy. He's rich. It's just like makes you just appreciate life and live it to the fullest.
Absolutely.
Up to the very last moment. Got to do that. Very important.
That's why I've really enjoyed all the different ways, like all the different communities that I'm in. Most of them are focused on like the hope of Christ and the way that we're all connected in that way. I didn't really have any sort of community like that until more recently. So in my early 20s, I was in college and stuff, and I was still struggling with my addictions and still struggling to find friends who were like healthy and good for me. Not in a selfish way, but more like, how can I build you up if you're being a butthole to me? So I was trying to figure out like, well, all of these different people that I know, like how are we interacting? Is it healthy? Is it good? Is it bringing us to be more productive and care for each other more? No, not really. And so lately, I've been rebuilding all the different communities that not rebuilding the communities, but just rebuilding like my friendships and restructuring things. And I've realized lately, like, most of the closest friends that I have were linked by that hope of Christ, knowing that we'll be able to see each other in heaven when we pass away. And that gives me hope for right here, right now. Like I have a job to do, and that's to basically like spread that hope to other people. But it's hard because growing up, having had issues with addictions, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to be like, yeah, I struggled with this and that. But it's also, even though it's embarrassing, it's also really helpful to like relate to other people who struggle with the same thing. Among all the people that I've found that, you know, I'm in groups with that share that love of the Lord, and like we're all trying to spread that hope to other people. There's also people that I'm friends with that don't know the Lord, and I'm trying to be a light to them as well and just encourage them. I don't hate them because of what they believe. I love them and I want what's best for them. And I know that following Christ is what's best for me. And I know that he's the reason why I'm not stuck in addiction anymore. Like that 12-step program, absolutely, that healed me. But ultimately, he was the higher power that pulled me out of that. And so I've enjoyed building groups of friends. We'll listen to the same kind of music and we watch like Marvel movies together, and like all of us are learning who we are and like figuring out new things about each other. Like I'll figure out new things about people every day, like if I talk to them enough. And I've just really enjoyed healing and growing in that way by just building different friendships and like investing in those friendships too. It's really important to me to continue like talking to them. This is why I'm on your podcast. Is to just like invest in a friendship that I know is already there, because I know that this is a way that you and I both can grow and learn about each other and learn how to relate to other people in new ways. I've really enjoyed doing that too.
For you, obviously, your faith has a big staple in the better choices you've made in life and the growth and the evolution of you as a person. Do you feel like that? Do you feel like people need some kind of faith-based thing to help them out of like their dark places? Like, do you think that's like a thing for everybody? Because obviously not everybody's going to have, the same faith that you do, or some people won't believe and all that. So what is your opinion on that?
Well, my opinion on that is like, I know that my God is the one true God, and I want everybody to believe in that same God. But I do know that people who have found like a higher power in their life, sometimes whatever they believe in, it helps them heal. But ultimately, I want to be able to encourage them and like lead them to the one true God. But it's scary sometimes too, because I'm like, I don't want to be that one person who's like, you need to believe what I believe. But it's
Right.
it's so beautiful and so true. I can't help but like try to tell everybody like it's real. Like it's real, and he's here and he knows who I am and he knows who you are and he wants to love you. He's just waiting for you on the other side. But it's hard. And it's hard in this society too, because I don't want to be like, yeah, you need to believe what I believe.
Yeah, I feel like some quote unquote Christians have an issue with the way they go about trying to, I don't know, administer to people or whatever. And they come off with this whole like, oh yeah, like this is,
they're beating their friends on the head with a Bible.
Right. or whoever. They're like, oh yeah, you got to do this or you're going to go to hell. Like, I feel like that's just
not the way to approach it. You have to approach it with truth and love.
Because, like objectively speaking, like it's just like you choose to follow that faith. That's your faith in it, right? But like somebody else might not have the same like outlook on it, and they might like be able to rebuttal you super hardcore about the religion that you follow. And I feel like the best way to do it is like, if you do it at all, is like you just be you and like show the kind of person you are. And if people around you, friends or strangers, are interested in that, and then they come to you, or you extend a small olive branch and you're like, hey, this is the kind of life I live. And they're like, oh, I'm kind of interested. Then you like go in there. But like when you're like just going to people and you're like force feeding, your religion or your faith down their throats and stuff, I feel like that's a way that people get turned off.
Absolutely.
Just in general.
That's why I don't talk like that. I'm here for them to talk to me about what they have questions about. I'm not going to have all the answers either, but I'm willing to sit down and show them how I found the answers. I'm willing to sit down and show them how I got out of this addiction. And honestly, like that was that's what pulled me out of it. And so I already know that God draws people to himself. And so all these different ways that he draws people to himself is like through other people, or through, sometimes it's through visions and stuff like that. I just want to be that vessel. I want to be that person that they're like, oh, she's different. I can't figure out why. I kind of want to talk to her, but I'm not sure. And I'm just like, I'm open for any conversation that they want to have with me. Sometimes they'll get really awkward too. I have some coworkers who have just been like, do you believe babies go to hell when they die? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know the answer to that.
I feel like there's some parents out there that are like, what? Babies are from hell. Absolutely.
It feels like that sometimes when you're raising them.
It depends on which babies you got.
Oh my goodness.
Although then the science behind that is like, oh, it's probably the parents' fault. I don't know how that goes.
There's some people who believe it's the parents' fault when the kid is terrible.
It's a good title for a working title for like a movie or book. Babies from Hell.
That sounds like a B movie.
Yeah, B horror film.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
there. I go watch it.
We could do it. Yeah, absolutely. No.
That's really good. Do you see with me? Like, I love having friends from all different like belief. Like, I'm friends with people that are Jewish. Obviously, I'm friends with people that are Christian, and then I'm friends with people that are atheists, hardcore. And then I'm friends with people that are Gnostic, agnostic. And I also have a friend that's like Buddha. My mom is like probably, I don't know if this is a real thing. She's like partial part Buddhist / Catholic.
How is that a thing?
Well, she's from Vietnam, right? So obviously Buddhism is like a big staple for them. But then also Catholicism is a big thing because there's a lot of, there's a lot of Catholic missionaries that went over there to set up churches and stuff like that. So she grew up around Catholicism and Buddhism. And so she literally integrated both like belief systems and faiths into her life. I almost feel like in me studying Buddhism, I almost feel like it's not even more so just a religion. It's kind of like a mentality, a way of life. Like
it's a lifestyle.
Yeah. Some people do worship Buddha as a god, but then there's other people that just look at Buddha as like a very wonderful teacher. And he was a real person. He was rich, and his father was like a king, and then he like left all of that stuff because he wanted to experience struggle because his life was so easy and he never saw outside the palace walls or something. It's a really interesting story. You should like read it sometime. But like he went out there to like live with beggars and to see what life was like and like the hardships of it. And he became enlightened and he wrote down things and he thought about a lot of things. So I almost feel like Buddhism is more of a philosophy than it is religion. It is definitely a religion, but the way I look at it, I almost feel like it's more philosophical to me.
Do you enjoy having like all these different perspectives around you?
Yeah, I feel like it helps me grow mentally because it helps me kind of understand where people are coming from. Because here's the thing: if you're really strong in your own faith or no faith at all, you're gonna be that way regardless, unless you just make a change in your life. But I feel like it's really good to stay open minded about the reason why people believe and do the other things that they do. Right? I feel like it falls in the same category of like when you're in school, like everybody has social classes. The preppy people are here, the jocks are here, the urban people are here, the goths are here, the punk rockers are here. But I liked hanging out with all of them because they all added a different aspect. I never liked just fitting in one category.
All different
because to
flavors.
Me it's cramped, it's pale, it's stagnant, and it's not the kind of life I want to live. I think that faith is very important for people. Even if they don't, I guess if they don't subscribe to a religion, if there's somebody that's an atheist listening to this or an agnostic, then having some form of faith is really good. Believing in something is very, very important.
It's important to have something to live for. Because when you're on this earth and you don't if you feel like you don't have a purpose, that's usually when suicidal thoughts kick in because you just don't have any reason to live. And so oftentimes like your family will be the reason you live or your job and all these different things. But those things kind of crumble away. Like you could lose your family at any second. You could lose your job at any second. But the reason that I know that God is my higher power is because he's not going to like crumble away at any second. He doesn't disappear. Like he's always there. And that's why I know that's why I believe in him, because I know he's there and he's not going to disappear and he's not going to just crumble away just like all these other temporary things. Like all of my shoes. My shoes will probably burn up and just disappear, but I know God's always going to be there for me. And he has walked me through so many crazy things, especially over the last couple of years. I'm not the person that I was like the same time last year. I was a very different Jessy. I also didn't have pink hair. So all these different little things changed, and I've really enjoyed talking to other people and hearing from them about how much I've changed and how much they enjoy who I am now versus what I was before. I was a brat. Like I was the most, and I can still get very selfish, but I was like a super selfish kid, especially in like college. Oh my gosh. Like I was thinking back about all the different reasons why I did stuff, and like I would just go like tearing out of the parking lot with my music blasting. I still do that, but I do that for me. I don't do that for boys anymore. That was my thing. My motivation was boys in college. But now I'm just like, I'm really happy with where I'm at, and I'm happy knowing that if I'm single forever, that's okay.
Oh my gosh. That's so fun. You're such an interesting creature, Jessy Jones.
I try to be.
You're interesting. You're just a very interesting person. Like, I feel like people, if they see you for the first time, they make this assessment, based on the way you look. And then when they find out like who you really are, they're, oh crap, I never saw that coming. I didn't see that.
That's usually how it goes. And if I open up and I'm like, oh yeah, I was homeschooled my entire life, they're like, wait, what? They're always surprised about that. They're always surprised that I had like pin straight brown hair all the way down to the middle of my back. They never would have guessed. And I also I used to wear polo shirts buttoned up to the top with a t-shirt over them. And I used to think I looked fine.
Oh my God, I never would have spoke to you. I would have thrown a brick at you.
I would have thrown a brick at myself if I could have seen myself. But
jeez Louise.
No.
I would have beat you up and then just spit on you like Rick does in Rick and Morty.
You know,
fights people.
I think when I was dressing like that, you were in your like mohawk punk phase. Because I was like 15, 16.
Oh yeah. Maybe.
I was like super dork. And now I'm still super dork, but I just try to like not dress the part.
You're an outlier, like a little punk rock chick. I have a confession to make. I don't know if I should say it. I don't want to feel like I'm insulting it. I guess it's not insulting. It doesn't matter. Who cares, right?
I've been insulted by you so many times. I don't care anymore.
You've been insulted so many times.
At this point, I've
when I first met
calluses.
you, I thought you were. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I don't want somebody listening to be like, "Oh, what's the problem?" That there's not. So kiss my ass. So I thought you were a lesbian the first time I met you.
Are you serious? No, that is actually one of the first assumptions. Right now. No, that's one of the first assumptions everybody makes.
I first saw you and you had short hair and you had all the stickers on your car. I'm totally stereotyping. Obviously, not all lesbians have short hair and stickers on their car.
I was wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants too. Like I couldn't have gotten any less feminine the first time you met me.
Yeah, and I was and then like I don't remember, like they were introducing me to you and the other people, and I was like, "Oh, hey, girl," and then you're like, my name is Jessy, not girl," and I was like, "What a B word." She must be a lesbian. Oh, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I thought that, and then I realized, oh yeah, she's absolutely 100% definitely not a lesbian.
100% straight as a pin ever since I was born.
Boy crazy. Boy crazy.
Oh my gosh. And part of that was you were seeing part of that as the addiction that I was still rolling with.
and then when you and me started becoming chums and nice friendly chaps with each other, we like watch guys walk by and talk about who we thought was hot. Hey, I'm very comfortable in my own sexuality.
No,
I
remember this one conversation. You called me.
Like, yeah, he's hot.
You called me one day and you were like, Jessy. And I said, what? You said, I think I'm gay.
Did I? I don't remember this.
I was sitting in the car and I'm just sitting in the car in my driveway and I was like, oh no, where's this going? And you said, I just really like the contours of men's faces.
It must have been like...
No, I think you were drunk. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm
98%
sure you were
Remember
very
that day
drunk.
we made the contract with Bill Nail, Matt? And we got super plastered.
What month was that?
I don't know.
Do you remember?
Do you remember this, Matt? When we we got drunk and we were making our contract? 2 years ago. 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago.
That sounds about right.
So we were like, at the time, me and Matt were hanging out with my cousin who's like painting. We were trying to start a business, an art business. And I was like managing it and he was going to do the art and Matt was handling all the tech stuff as Matt does. And then we were coming up with these contracts for ourselves about like how much money, how we would split the revenue and how we'd start distributing the art and all this stuff. And so we were celebrating. And then my cousin is just a connoisseur of fine liquors. And so we made, I don't know, it was like 10 toasts. We should just had one toast. We had like a ton of toasts. And it was just, I got a little too happy. And so that's probably when
you probably
maybe I mean, we could be wrong. I don't know, but
there were a couple occasions where you called me and I was like, oh no, where's this gonna go? And then it ended up being like a 4-hour conversation of me trying to convince you not to be gay. And I'm not exactly sure where you were going with that. I'm not 100%. I mean, We know that you're not, but it was just
Yeah, I'm definitely not even. It's funny because I'm a person that likes to think. I think about alternate scenarios, even scenarios I would never like venture down or do or even feel like wanting to do. But I still like to try to put myself in that mindset, just because
that's what you were doing.
I like to know what makes people tick, and so like I've flirted around in my head with like, what would it be like for me to be a homosexual man and like to be with men and date them and try to fall in love with them and all these things, and like, you know, I try to put myself in that position just because I also like think about things like what it would be like to be tortured and like have someone like cut my fingers off and stuff like that. Yeah,
those are intrusive thoughts, and you need therapy.
I'm a very weird guy. I don't know though. I feel like it's important though. I feel like when you think about these things, even if they never happen, or if it's something that a road you never walked down, I feel like it challenges your psyche. Especially like if you think about like what it's like to struggle in a way that you might not ever struggle. It just like, because you're
it's like being the devil's advocate for yourself.
Yeah, you're sympathizing because other people are dealing with it. If we're just talking about torture, like right now, as we're talking now, somebody's being tortured right now as we speak. They're being cut up and torn apart and ripped up. And so like for me to sit back
10 cents a day, you
yeah, so it's going to go into. But for me to sit back and think about that, like I don't, you know, I can never really sympathize with that person. But I guarantee you the majority of people aren't thinking about that. And then they would be like, oh, you're crazy for thinking it. Well, am I?
Do you ever try to
it gives me a different perspective of how...
You're putting your feet in someone else's shoes. I almost said you're putting your shoes in someone else's feet.
I think that's why people end up being like, they deal with so many like stupid first world problem bullshit. Because like, they don't sit back and think about like what's happening. Like you get so mad because you lost your job, or your car broke down, or like whatever. Like
it's really easy to get hung up on that. And
you get so mad. I mean, I'm guilty as charged.
Same as well. We live in a fallen world.
What else is if I was in another country and I was escaping like this communist prison and trying to kill you and all this stuff, and I got out and I got to the other side and I got away, and like my heart's beating out of my chest. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna live. And I think about that, and I was like, in my mind, I would never like. The concept of, I'd be like, man, I wish I had a car to break down in. I wish I had a job to get fired from. God, if that was my only problems, I'm in heaven, right? And I feel like I do that a lot, and I feel like it's very beneficial, and I feel like more people should do that, because if you do that, it makes you more humble. You eat some humble pie, and then you don't act like such a big silly bitch.
That's why serving other people is important too.
I'm laughing, but I mean exactly what I just said.
If you get out of your own head by just like the simple act of like giving someone something that they need that you didn't need in the first place. Like I've had so much fun, like because I bought so much clothing over the last several years.
Here we go. We're talking about retail again.
Exactly. Yeah. All of those things. I'm excited. Purchasing all of those things that I don't need with money I don't have. But the things that I will do with that, like if I get bored of a shirt, I'm like, this is still a perfectly good shirt. I'm not throwing this away. I'm not giving it away to like a thrift store. Let me just find somebody who wants this shirt, and I'll give it to them. It's really fun to find all these different things in my house that I haven't looked at in several months and be like, hey, do you want this? I had the funniest moment the other day. I had a coworker, and she's going to go out to the lake to just like spend time out there and enjoy herself.
Oh, what lake is it?
I have no idea. I can't remember. She told me and I forgot.
You get some beautiful lakes out here in Alabama, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely. But I had a boogie board that I bought like 4 months ago that I haven't even unwrapped it. And I said, do you want it? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. So I'm like, okay, let me go get it out of my car. I popped the trunk and I'm like, you want a blanket? And she's like, yeah, sure. Do you want another blanket?
So
yeah, sure.
Awesome.
I had this like bin full of office supplies. I'm like, do you need any office supplies? And pop up in the trunk and like, do you need any binders or like manila folders?
She's like going shopping in the back of your trunk.
Exactly. But it's like, it's all these different things that I've collected over the years that I don't need. And I've found joy in just giving that to other people. That gets me out of my head because sometimes I'll just sit there moping around like, oh, I have all this stuff that I can't give away. I could just burn it, but I don't want to burn it because, you know, it's
one
a mess.
Person's trash is another person's treasure.
Exactly.
Right? Something you have. That's happened to me before. I've sold things to people that were super excited about buying it, and I've given things to people that were like, oh my gosh, this is the world to me.
I feel
really?
so bad if I sell my stuff to other people because I'm like, it smells like me. I don't want to sell something that I've used.
It's funny.
That's
my major selling point in selling my things.
You're just like,
is,
yeah,
hey, by the way,
like me.
anybody like pheromones?
Oh my gosh.
Jesse Jones, you've talked about some real serious stuff. You opened up about your porn addiction and your retail therapy.
That's not what it is.
What is something right now, and it might be the stuff that we already talked about. What are you, Miss Jones, Jess, pink hair? What are you wrestling with, honey?
I'd say right now I'm wrestling with trying to share the gospel with people that I know.
Why is that important to you?
It's important to me because that's how I've gotten out of my addiction, and that's how I found hope, and that's how I found peace.
And you want to try to give people that same hope that you got for their own issues.
I want them to know that peace that I found.
But what if like that they do need to get out of their troubles, but they reject the gospel that you're trying to share with them? What do you do then?
I mean, it's not my job to make them do what I want them to do. I just want to share. It's almost like I'm sharing this recipe that I found that's like super, super tasty and wonderful. And like, if they don't want to eat it, that's not my problem. But I've shared it.
Wonderful analogy.
Exactly. And I want to make sure that they know that I am here. If they have questions about Christianity, I want to be able to answer them. And a lot of times I learn how to answer them as I get those questions. I've had a lot of people ask me questions. I'm like, oh, I have no idea. So I'm going to look that up and I'll get back to you. And so, yeah, that's what I'm wrestling with right now. There's a lot of fear and there's a lot of issues involved in like, if I'm sharing, I want to make sure that they know that I'm not like forcing my religion on them, but I do want them to know that that's how I found hope.
That's beautiful. Absolutely. I feel like a lot of people, even if they weren't people of faith, could listen to that and think that, it's genuine. Like you're coming from a genuine place and you're just trying to be helpful. And even if people thought, because like I have very smart atheist friends that would be like, oh, silly, brainwashed and all this stuff. But I feel like even they could like look at that and be like, at the end of the day, like you're trying to love on people. You're trying to care for people and give them the same administration that you got yourself. And share, and like you just said, like, and if they reject it, then that's not your problem. You're putting it out there, and whoever wants to try your nice baked Italian ziti, they should. And if they don't, then they'll just miss out.
I was going to say it's birthday cake
or birthday cake, whatever it is you're baking. But what are your like future goals and ambitions? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to like get into some kind of seminary, or do you want to be, I don't know, rock star? What are your goals and dreams?
Oh, well, lately I've been thinking about writing, and I want to write a book about.
I could totally see. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to write a book about what I've struggled with, just so that other people can see that there's hope.
I think you should start out trying to do a blog.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Look into blogging.
That requires consistency, and I don't have that.
Well, then you got to learn consistency if you're serious about it. Here's the thing, too. Like, whatever you want to do in life,
all in the
if
routine.
You're serious about it, you got to be in love with the process of what it is, not just the end result. So you'd have to be in love with doing it consistently. And if you're not, then it's probably something you shouldn't do then.
It's probably why I haven't written a book yet.
Maybe then. Maybe you got to find some other outlet to write without necessarily doing it in that format. I don't know.
I honestly think I could probably write, if I narrated it, it'd be a lot easier, and then I could go back and kind of write out what I was saying, and then do edits from there. But yeah, I'm thinking about writing about it. It's probably not going to be a very long book, but the longer I live, the longer it'll be. Because it's going to kind of be a little biography in a way. So
I'll totally read it. I'll promote it all
Please
over
do.
the Wrestling Diaries.
I'd enjoy that.
Life with Jessy.
Life with Jessy. That sounds like Oprah.
I don't know what you would call it. Oh, yeah. Oh, that'll be lame. Don't be like Oprah. She's weird. She looks at herself in the camera. Shout out, Oprah. Holla at your boy. But yeah, I think you should definitely do it. You're very intelligent, and I feel like you're an old soul. Like, you're young, but I feel like I don't know, you remind me of somebody that's lived a lot more life than you have. You do have a lot more living to do and a lot more wisdom to attain, but I feel like you are wise beyond your years, and I feel like you would be a really good mentor through your whatever medium you choose. If it's writing, then so be it. Maybe if it's speaking. But I feel like there's some form there that you can use, and maybe you can take it traveling with it, because like you've got a really great voice for inspiration, I believe, personally. But who am I, right? I'm not a professional at this. This is my own opinion of you as your friend. So yeah, you just got to keep chasing after there, you eagle, you soaring out there, being free, you know,
Just keep rolling with it.
not pooping on my head. You didn't think I remember that, did you? I remember.
I didn't think you were going to bring it up in a podcast.
That's how I roll. If there's somebody out there watching right now and anything that you said is relative to them, they're watching this, they're listening to this, and they're like, man, wow, this is crazy. I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with porn addiction. I'm dealing with like insecurities with myself or not being good enough or whatever it is. What do you say to them? What do you say to this kid or person that's watching? They might not be a kid. They might be a 50-year-old person still trying to find themselves, which is a normal thing. You're still trying to find yourself at any age. While you're alive and you haven't found yourself, you can still keep looking. What would you say to them right now?
I'd say join me. I can help you find hope. We can get out of this together. And also, they're not alone in their struggles ever. There's hundreds of thousands of people who all struggle with all sorts of different problems, and we can all get together and brainstorm and figure out a way to get out of it. And they're not lost in their addiction, even though they feel lost and they feel like they've probably ruined everything. Like you hit rock bottom and then you realize that's not where you want to be. And so I just want them to know they don't have to stay at rock bottom.
Yeah, one thing I'll say before we sign off here is that sometimes I feel like hitting rock bottom, people look at it as a bad thing. I feel like it's actually a lot more of a positive thing if you can be strong with it. Because once you hit bottom, Chuck Palahniuk, who wrote the book Fight Club, he had a philosophy about this. It's like, once you hit bottom, there's no place to go but up.
Exactly.
So anything you do doesn't matter. Like, if you're already at bottom, it doesn't matter. Like, all you can do is be better. All you can do is move up.
You rebuild from the ground up.
And
when
so
you hit rock bottom.
sometimes you do have to hit bottom. You got to lose your girlfriend and your house and your car and your dog dies and your mom's pissed at you or whatever it is. Sometimes it's good. It's cleansing. And then it like gives you a new perspective on life. And I know because I've toggled at bottom and I've hit bottom before. After I was done licking my chops and feeling sorry for myself, I realized that there's something very beautiful about it because all you can do now is climb. That's all you can do. You can't go any further than bottom, you know? And so it's good. And then I feel like there's a bright new world out there for everybody. Jessy, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah,
this is awesome.
This
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Did you have a good time with me?
This is good.
Pound it. Boom. You're a wonderful, beautiful human being inside and out. And you are one of my best girlfriends, platonically. Ladies and gentlemen, get your heads out of your asses. But you're really great. I feel like you got a good head on your shoulders. You got to keep just going, doing the things you're doing, inspire people. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. Keep being you, unapologetically you. And just keep trucking. I'm glad. I feel very honored and very blessed to have a friend like you. I really do. Honestly, I'm so glad that you came on the show to chat with me and have a little fun. Ladies and creatures out there listening, I hope somebody got something really good out of this episode. Jessy's a really great person and an awesome friend of mine. If you want to find more content like this, then you need to follow us and find out what's up. Because I have people from different walks of life just about every week. Somebody's different. Somebody's struggling with something. Somebody's wrestling with something. And maybe the things that somebody's fighting with, the demons that they're wrestling with, and the way they're overcoming it can help you overcome your monsters, right? Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast. Go to our YouTube, subscribe, like, share it. If you felt this was relevant, share it with somebody, talk to somebody about it, do whatever you'd like. It's silly. We have a good time here. We're open to all ideas and opinions, and we just find out how wonderful struggle is to our own humanity. Tell me, what do you wrestle with? And how can you beat it? One love.